performances over the last couple of games, but at the same time, obviously the players have suffered 2 defeats. So how do you inject a positive mindset into them? What work have you had to do this week?
Well, the reflection on the other night was more a case of, playing a top side. We knew that. For 40 minutes, delivering a good performance for the needs of the game, if you know what I mean. So tactically, you have to be sound. We know that as well. And we were for 40 minutes. And then, unfortunately, they scored. And then the second one, makes it very difficult from there on in. So the positive of that one is the shape, the energy of the side early in the game at a very tough place at the moment, particularly. It generally is, but certainly when they're top of the league and flying. Feeding back as well over the games. You've got to remember when I got here, they'd had 1 point out of 5 games. Now they've had 6 points out of 5 games. There's obviously progress. There's factual progress. The running stats are good. The feel of the performances have been good. The detail has to improve, quite obviously, to keep that to keep the bigger picture improvement of getting points on the board. But a lot of things that have shown themselves, we're slowly but surely eradicating, I think. You've got to remember that out the away games as well, they're tough games. Couple of tough games, home games as well, playing the league leaders as well, of course, first game. So, I think pretty much there is some, there definitely is factually some steps forward, and now it's about continuing that and continuing to get rid of the bad details, if you like, and add in the good ones, at the front end of the pitch.
Yeah, with regard to those details, I know you spoke as well after the Arsenal game, you can't legislate for mistakes. Are those kind of mistakes a byproduct of not enough goals in the side? Just thinking that when you're struggling to score goals, that creates pressure, and therefore those mistakes become more prevalent.
You can't actually define that, but you've got to realise that the balance of the play. You want a goal scoring threat or more of a goal scoring threat. We certainly have provided that statistically since we've got it. That doesn't win you matches, of course. You've got to make the stats count, but there is improvement in that area. Even at Arsenal, we had, I think it was 3 breakaways, very good opportunities to be more clinical, which we weren't. But that's a work in progress, and freedom does come somewhat when you're building confidence through scoring, of course, as a team. Though it's not about just the individuals, it's about the whole team, the feel of a team. But then equally, you've got to defend it well. So there is that kind of balance. But I'm not too overly thinking that at the moment. I'm looking at the team, I'm looking at the facts, I'm looking at the stats, and looking what I believe is right about the team going about its business. And we've got to add to the detail. That's quite obvious.
So how close does this game come to you using the term must win, given the position the club is in?
You use it every game. The mentality should be every game. I played, I didn't play at this level, but I've managed at it. The mentality should be, as a footballer, every time the whistle blows, I'm ready. Every game should be a must win, in my opinion. That's my thoughts. It's my thoughts as a manager, I can assure you. Don't take anything, go to Arsenal hoping that something good happened when they're planning on trying to win the game. And it's something I believed in as a player, and I believe in it as a coach, I believe in it as a manager.
I know we ask it a lot, but what can you tell us about Dominic Calvert-Lewin's recovery?
Just he's recovering, getting stronger.
Any chance of being involved this weekend?
We'll see.
How costly then do you feel it's been not getting another attacking option in during the January transfer window?
Irrelevant, it's gone. Done.
At the same time, how's it impacted you being able to do what you would like?
Just working with the players that we've got to maximise their potential, keep improving as a side, keep improving as a unit, because that's important anyway in football. You can't rely on just one player anyway. No team, well, Messi probably carried a few teams in his time, but generally speaking, I would suggest that it's a team unit, and that's the important factor.
I don't think people look at it as just a one-man thing, but obviously they see that the side looks more potent when someone like Dominic is playing, and you look at the stats. I know DCL himself has only got 1 goal this season. That was against Crystal Palace at Goodison, but Dwight's got 2 goals, Iwobi's got 1 goal, Mopé 1 goal this season. When they see stats like that, obviously people are going to put a lot of store on the main attacking threat, a focal point of the attack, and that's Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what the outside noise is. But the fact of the matter is, we're working with the players. They're working very hard. I think Neil Maupay is working extremely hard. He's working hard for the team. He's finding chances. They will go in statistically. The stats, I think I said last week, the stats start coming your way. If you've not been scoring, it will come your way as a striker, because you get to a point when you will score. That's the way football is. You will score goals. And all we try and do as a team is increase the chances and increase the expectancy and increase the volume and increase them coming quicker. The idea is that they will come. And statistically, if you're a goal scorer and they're not, you're not scoring goals, well, every time you don't, there's one coming. That's why I look at it, because it's just stats and facts. It's just the way football is. It's just the way human beings in football work. So I'm saying to Neil, keep getting in the right areas, because he is getting in the right areas. he's having chances. He's had a couple cleared off the line in recent games, and one will go in. So it's getting the right areas, continue to get in the right areas. We're just using Neil as an example, by the way. Equally for the wide players, get on the back post, affect the back line, break the back line when you can. Dwight did ever so well against Villa and gets in behind, and on another day maybe could get a finish on. Them sort of details. So we're asking the players to put the ball at risk. We're asking the players to ask more questions of the opposition and be braver with the ball as well. It won't get me moaning if they're putting the ball at risk for the right reasons. Give the ball away, but they're giving it away for the right reasons, for attacking reasons, to try and open up the opposition. There'll be no question from me.
How do you assess Forest? I think it's ninth best home form in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen them a few times at home. And they've got a good atmosphere there with the crowd because of their first season back up after so long. So there's that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, it's like I say, they're all big games. They're all important games. These players are well travelled. They've been to a lot of big stadiums, a lot of stadiums with different fans, good, bad and indifferent. So it's just another pitch. I was looking for the word there. They're all the same size. You know what I mean? They're all the same size. So we take it on.
Just one thing to check with you, and it's a bit of a strange one. Reports out of Turkey that Alex Iwobi is unhappy and Fenerbahce would like him.
Well, I've seen him today, and he seems to be quite happy at the moment. So I can only go on what my eyes are telling me and what my feel is telling me.
I'll take that as nothing in that.
I think it's unlikely, I would suggest. But
and just check on James Garner and Nathan Patterson. Obviously played.
Yeah, but I was a little bit behind because he got a knock on his knee, but he played 70 last night, and Jimmy came through it. He came off right near them, but no, only just commonsensically. So Jimmy's a bit closer than Poe.
Involved, or?
We'll see. He's just had a warm down sort of day today.
Thanks, Finney. We'll go to Miles at Premier League production.
Hey.
Hi, Sean. Obviously, there's been a lot of focus on Dominic, Calvert, Lewin, but how important is it?
Hasn't it? I don't know, really, to be honest.
How important is it for others in the squad, like you mentioned, the wingers, the defenders, centre halves, to put themselves in the right place to help with the goals?
Well, absolutely, and as I said, I thought we did that against Villa. We didn't score the chances. Sorry, we created the chance, didn't take them. But the volume of chances was good. The efforts, the attempts to get in the right area and score goals. Because as I said, you will score goals if you get into the right areas enough. And then the freedom needs to come, of course. That clarity to go and take a chance. But it's encouraged the whole team. I said after the Arsenal game, you can't ask a team, we defend as a team and then you don't score as a team. Of course you have. You've got to do both. You defend as a team from the front, going through the midfield to the back line and the goalkeeper, hopefully to keep him quiet the best you can. We attack in the same manner. Unlikely your goalkeeper's involved in that as regards literally scoring, but they can start the game from a goal kick, from play. They're all involved in the attacking process, so therefore everyone should be able to have the mindset at least to go and score a goal.
You mentioned, I think, in midweek that maybe one or two of the players, or many of the players, need to step up and be the man. Have you seen that this week? Have you seen players in the squad, in your opinion, stepping up and saying, yeah, I'm going to be the man?
Well, I think since I've been here, I've seen it, and I think that's been quite relevant, and quite obvious, I would hope, with the performances. Not all the performances, but mostly. I think there's players who are saying, yeah, OK, I'm ready. We want that to continue. We want that positive edge. We want that thing that rubs off with players. When one is, some players playing that way when they are making a difference and everyone can see it, and that rubs off quickly. So you want more players to take that on and more players to join in with that kind of mentality when people are playing right at the top of their game. And that's why training's important. That's why preparation's important, to give them the freedom when they get out there to go and take it on and to have that edge to their performances. And we're trying to build that mentality constantly.
And in terms of how you've seen the players take on board what you and the coaching team here are trying to do, are you happy with the messages that are getting across? Are you happy that they've taken on a lot in a short space of time?
Yeah, and that is the key. It's the way that we want to try and work with these players. It takes time to rub off on them, but I think they've done a good job of absorbing that. There's some tactical details, technical details we're looking at, where maybe we haven't done as well, of course, but generally speaking, the culture of what we think's right at the training ground, the feel of it, the feel of the group, and the values that we stand to, I think there's been a good show of that. We've got to obviously continue the process that I mentioned earlier. There is factual progress, but now we've got to push it and keep moving forwards.
Just finally, is this the most? I mean, you're in bother, but is this the most open sort of battle? Because you could go up to, potentially Palace up further. 8 or 9 teams are involved in this, aren't they? It's not like previous seasons where 1 or 2 are adrift. So it's really kind of in your own hands.
Well, certainly my focus is on us. You can't decide everyone else on what they're doing and their results because you can't affect them, but you can affect us. So that's the biggest thing I'm looking at, just focusing on us.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Shimon at the BBC.
Hi, Sean.
Hi.
So in various reports and documents this week about the takeover of Newcastle and the assurances that were given were not quite right. Now, they had the money to sign Chris Wood off here last January. Do you think the table would have looked different had they not been given that money?
I have absolutely no worry at all about anyone else. Whatever the powers that be are looking at is up to them. I'm focusing on Everton Football Club.
So, as a Premier League manager, how concerning is it that there might be state ownership of clubs? And at the moment,
as I said, I'm just focusing on Everton Football Club. The bigger picture is for you to all debate. Mine is to make sure that I'm working hard for this football club, this team, to try and be successful.
So, just going on from that, should there be more stringent checks from the Premier League?
As I said, I'll remind you if you'd like again, but my focus is on Everton Football Club. That's what I'm looking at. I can't govern everything, and I haven't got time at the moment to even worry about everything other than what we're doing here and putting all my efforts into channeling my efforts into Everton Football Club.
So you've not had a look at anything else?
No, not as much as I've been looking at the team. No, because I've got to affect the things that are right in front of me.
Just on Idrissa Gueye, he conceded a penalty against Villa, and then there was the incident against Arsenal. Do you speak to the players individually about their mistakes, or is it a collective as a group upon everyone?
No, normally if we're debriefing the moments in the game, then we just talk about, because normally something led to a reason why that happened. Not so much the mistake the other night, that's a different thing, but the penalty, there's something happened before that, tactically, that the team can get right. So that's why it ends up as a last-ditch effort to block the shot. So, no, we look at what's moved before that, not just the individual.
He just seemed to stop. Did he explain? Has he explained what happened? Did he?
No. No, he's a very experienced player. Sometimes these anomaly things happen, not very often, but when they do, they're highlighted.
Okay. Thank you. We'll go to James at Ready on Merseyside.
Hi there, Sean.
Hiya.
You've had 2 away games so far. Both have been quite different. You'll be aware the team have just won once away from home so far this season. Is there anything you're doing when it comes to the away form to try and get that away win?
Yeah, we're working with the team tactically, of course, prepping them the best we can. Spoken to the team about that, their thoughts on it as well, and trying to mould a game plan that would, find them results, of course. As I said, the 2 away games so far, I think it's fair to say Liverpool are up and down. They're still apart from the local rivalry, of course, that side. They're still a good outfit. We know that. And Arsenal, well, they're certainly showing what an outfit they are. So that doesn't guarantee you anything that you're not playing them teams. You've still got to earn the right. But I would suggest statistically there's other opportunities that offer a better chance than them, certainly than Arsenal, I would suggest, with their home form.
Michael Keane got a start the other night, and you all know him well from Burnley. What have you made of his evolution, I guess, now at Everton, and how can you help him perhaps rediscover some of the form when he was at Turf Moor?
Yeah, well, the ups and downs of a career, and he's learning as he goes. He's getting more and more experience from that. And becoming more rounded as a pro, and that's part of your journey as a professional footballer. But no, he's a very good player. We've got other good players here, so there's no guarantees to who plays. But the margins are tight at the minute because we've got to work out the best group. We've got to work out the group that we think can win games. It's showing good signs as we were going about it, but then you've got to find that balance between, as we discussed earlier, between scoring a goal and not conceding. These are all the small but important details that go into forming a team.
And I know you started your playing career at Nottingham Forest. Any memories from there?
They do stretch this a little bit. Because I have to. Normally, you're probably going to ask me about Brian Clough, although I make it clear I didn't play in the first team. I was a young pro there. To be fair, I did turn pro there. No, I had a fantastic time there and loved every minute of it. But the story becomes a bit bigger than what it was. I was a young pro. Apprentice young pro, went on loan to Chesterfield, loved playing first team football, didn't want to go back, just wanted to get on and play first team football. So, but no, I had a great, it's my formative years as a young man living around Nottingham and working, playing there as well. So I enjoyed every minute of it.
Thanks, James. Any further questions, Carl, from the Press Association?
Hi, Sean.
Oh yeah.
You said I'm back on the goal scoring front. The goals will come. You work on creating chances, and you're confident the goals will come. Does it get to a point where something has to change there, where you not you lose faith in the process, but you think, well, we've got to try something different because what we're trying isn't working?
There's only so many things you can try in football, and usually, if you look at the stats and facts, even in the modern game, a lot of goals are still scored from set piece. A lot of goals are still scored from crossing positions. A lot of goals are scored from simply a lot of entries into the box. A lot of goals are scored from simply hitting the target a lot. So you've got to look at the basic principles first, and then you really look at the details. And some teams offer different scenarios, of course, of how to score goals, and we look at that as well. But the basic principles have to be adhered to. It's very difficult if you're not getting in the right areas and you're not getting enough bodies and you're not getting enough entries into the right areas. It becomes more and more difficult. You're just shortening the odds of scoring. So we work on that, but also the analysis works on things like where do the team score goals from? Historically, where do they score from? What kind of goals do the team score? Who scores what kind of goals? So you look at that as well, and then you look at piecing it together. So it's not. The thing is about scoring goals. We all know that's why the striking department is often the hardest one to affect. Some clubs around the world probably, arguably, could pick any player in the world, and yet they're still searching for centre forwards who can score loads of goals. So, that's why they often were the most expensive piece in the jigsaw of football. Strikers, in my experience.
So we're not at the stage where we're looking at a left field option.
I'm not going to play. Won't he probably have a go? Dick Turpin standard deliver, won't he?
Yeah. But it's just a question of working on plan A, really, just to get that.
You've got to. There's got to be a method. So whatever that method is, I don't think I'm one who just starts. It depends on how radical you're thinking, but I don't put left back at centre forward and expect it to work. The fine line between madness and genius, they say, and you'll be in here next week saying, why did you do that? And you've just asked me why I ain't doing it. There you go. There lies the conundrum.
Thank you. Any further questions in the open section before we move on to the papers? No? Okay, thanks.
Cheers.